Hey everyone, Justin Holland here with the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. Real excited about this show. We had a great show last week. We've got another great nonprofit here locally that we've got a guest who that I'm going to introduce with in just a minute. So a little housekeeping on the show. If you don't know this already, the Mad Insurance Show is really everything insurance. And I bring up articles about, breaking news, what's going on in the health insurance industry. Lately, we've been trying to focus and segment on the nonprofits, just because I've been so exhausted of trying to talk about all the stuff we've been navigating in the insurance world. But I'm a local agency owner here. I've got Texas State Insurance Services. Remember, that's going to be for Medicare, individual health insurance, employee benefits, the health insurance side of the business. So, Texas State Insurance Services can help you out with that. The phone number is 210 880 5316, or you can always visit us online at txstateinsurance.com. Palmetto Life Group is the division and agency we created for life insurance, long term care planning, social security analysis that relates to your retirement, as well as auto, home, commercial lines, even umbrella. If you're needing any help with that segment of the insurance business, we'd love to help you out. 877 357 5316 or palmettolifegroup.com is the website that you can join us at. And as always, when I close out the housekeeping, make sure you like and follow our YouTube show. If you're not able to catch this whole show, no problem. You can actually go to youtube.com/at Mad Insurance Show. Give us a like and follow. You'll see other videos from insurance carriers, from other nonprofits, and just in general of what's going on in the multiple segments of the insurance industry. So we'd love for you to stop by there and take a look at that. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our special guest today. And this is a good one, guys. So if you're scooting around San Antonio or you're watching us here online, this is one you're probably going to want to chime into and listen to, and maybe even reach out and see how you can help. And I've got Terri Behling. She's the Director of Communications and Government Relations over at Haven for Hope San Antonio. We've been visiting prior to the show, just catching up, learning some background on both of us. Real excited to have you, Terri, on the show. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Justin, for having me.
I've got an excerpt here. I can sit here and try to explain or detail Haven for Hope. I'm going to have you do that heavy lifting for me.
Yes.
But before we even get into Haven for Hope, I'd love for the audience. I think it's important for the audience to know a little background. Terri before Haven for Hope, and you and I talked about that. But obviously, you're a veteran in the industry. You've worked with other nonprofits or
Mhm.
associations, and I'd love for you to give us some details on that background of yours.
Sure. When I talk about all the places I've lived, people will ask if I grew up in a military family.
Yeah.
And ironically, I grew up in an insurance family. So my dad sold insurance for druggist mutual type companies, pharmacies, and things like
Okay,
that. So we
cool.
moved around a lot in the Midwest. So I was born in Omaha, but lived in Wisconsin, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois.
Some cold weather climates.
I've lived in the Midwest. I want to say most of my life, but anymore now, I've lived in the southern part of the United States. Lived in Florida for 21 years and moved to San Antonio in May of 2020.
Kind
So
of a lateral move without the coastline,
it
I guess.
is. It
So
is. Less humidity here, believe it or not. Everyone says it's humid in San Antonio. I would disagree.
it can be humider or
Yes.
more humid, if
Yes,
that's me.
exactly. So we moved here 6 years ago. I joined Haven for Hope 4 years ago, and we love San Antonio and feel absolutely that it is our home.
I love San Antonio too. When I was living on the east and west coast of the United States, early mid 2000s, and I had the opportunity to get back to Texas. It was Houston
Hmm.
or San Antonio. I chose San Antonio. I'm so glad I did. I met my wife here. We've got thriving businesses and we're helping a lot of people. And just the last show we had last week, San Antonio's just got a great feel.
It
I
really
think we're
does.
insulated from all the other chaos around the
Hmm.
planet, and it's kind of nice. It's refreshing.
For
Don't get me
being
wrong.
the sixth or seventh largest city in the country, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, I know.
It.
Isn't that
My
crazy?
husband's from Chicago, so he would say, "No, Chicago's a city."
Yeah. And
But
mean, we mentioned a minute ago, it's like we're far west side or west side San Antonio.
right.
I'm on the north side. I feel like I can get to Austin quicker than I can sometimes the west side of
Yes.
San Antonio,
Absolutely.
especially when we get a little bit of rain. Cool. Well, we've got some background there. I want to dive in a little bit more on your credentials. I asked you that
Yes.
about the show, or but
Mhm.
prior to us starting the show. APR and CPRC, those credentials. I think it's important for us to know. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So, my degree is actually in journalism. I received my journalism degree from Iowa State University. And so, instead of sitting here, I should be writing for Rolling Stone in New York City. It doesn't quite work that way.
Sometimes it doesn't.
It doesn't work that way. So, when we took a chance and moved to Florida, and some friends invited us to come down to Florida after we got married, my friend introduced me to someone who needed a entry level person in community relations. And I thought, well, not sure what that is or what my input would be, because I was staying in the journalism, had worked for a radio station, did promotions for a TV station in Peoria, Illinois before we moved. So I didn't quite understand what the community relations side of it was. And she was an incredible mentor to me, hired me the day after we moved to the state. And so I started out working at First Step of Sarasota.
Okay.
It was a recovery nonprofit serving individuals for inpatient and outpatient substance use recovery. So it was a
Okay.
nonprofit, and I was able to use my journalistic skills, write newsletters, write,
The outreach.
the marketing materials and things like that,
Okay.
and also use my journalism skills for the media relations side of things. Getting the media to come and cover First Step and cover what we're doing. And I fell in love with it and moved on to another nonprofit, and then to a government agency, and then to another nonprofit. So nonprofit has sort of been in my blood my
Yeah.
entire career. And the accreditation comes in, a lot of people go to school and get their master's degree. Not a huge fan of school, wasn't a huge fan of college.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a good public relations professional, and I really wanted to learn more about the industry. So, accreditation in public relations is universal. It's operated by the Universal Accreditation Board, and there's different professional organizations that belong to that. So, as long as you're a member, you can take the exam.
Got it.
It's not an easy exam, it's
Yeah.
very textbook heavy, but it really helped me learn more about public relations and the different strategies behind it, which was different than what I had learned for journalism. So
Okay.
I was very happy to achieve that. 2004, I believe, is when I earned that credential. And then through the public relations organization that I belong to in Florida, the Florida Public Relations Association, I earned my CPRC, which is Certified Public Relations Counselor. That basically means that you've been in senior level roles, you've advised the C suite, right?
Okay.
You provide that guidance and that strategic insight into all communications, operations, and public relations strategy. That was a more subjective test, less about books and more based on your knowledge. And so I'm really proud of that credential too, that we're hoping to take nationwide someday. I'm on a
Yeah.
task force. I'm still heavily involved with them in Florida, and we would love to take that nationwide
To
as
make
well.
that bigger. No, that I love that, and the fact that you have that journalism background. I had another
Mhm.
guest a few weeks ago with a nonprofit journalism background. And that you can go one way in that background and go the other. You're
Yes.
absolutely right, and it looks like nonprofits are benefiting
Yes,
from you
absolutely.
journalists out there, which is
Yes.
great. What led to specifically to Haven? I think that's an important question to know as
Absolutely.
well. Does your role with the director of communications and public government relations, give us the day to day. So, what got you there? What
Mhm.
tilted you towards the organization? And can you give us an idea of a day to day for you?
Sure. So when we moved to San Antonio, it was sort of still the beginnings of COVID. It was very difficult to get a job. And I learned very quickly that San Antonio is a large city, but feels like a small town when it comes to it's who you know. So knowing that relationships were important, I had networked before ever moving here, reached out through the Public Relations Society of America, the local chapter, and
Okay.
made some connections, told folks I was moving here and looking for some job leads. And it was actually through a Florida connection that I met someone here who was retiring from his job and going into his own consulting business. So we built a relationship and would check in on each other from time to time.
Yeah.
I was working at Harmony Public Schools as their director of public relations for the South Texas district of that school district. When I got a call from my friend and he said, "Hey, I know this nonprofit wanting to build the communications from the ground up." They had not had a specific
Nothing was in
role.
place.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And he said, "Are you interested?" I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "Haven for Hope." And I had not, truthfully, had not
A
heard
lot
of
of people, I don't think,
Haven,
have heard of it.
didn't know much about it. And I said, "Sure." And I fell in love from my first interview. Met with the team, learned about the mission, took the tour, went home and told my husband that's where I need to work. And
I would imagine you saw where you can make an impact in that
absolutely.
organization.
Absolutely. And I fell in love with the mission and I thought this is something that I would love to do and get more information out into the community about what Haven is all about.
What, give us a little bit more insight on the day-to-day,
Day to day.
just the functions, I guess.
So, Director of Communications and Government Relations is everything from creating a TV slide that the clients see
Yeah,
announcing, a special event or a class that they can attend, to branding, replacing all the signage on campus, to fielding media calls, to attending a city council meeting, to sitting in an executive team meeting and strategizing about the future, to managing social media, handling a social media, potential crisis, to the emergency planning. No 2 days are the same. I might sit down with my colleague, my multimedia manager, Nina, and do a testimonial with a client. I might be volunteering on campus so other team members can attend a meeting and have that direct, daily interactions with clients. So it covers a lot. There is a lot, that my two-person department is responsible for, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
some multitasking there.
Yes.
Very cool. So that gives us some great insight. What brought you there?
Mhm.
Now let's talk about the mission, how it works. Haven for Hope.
Yes.
The first question that I had on that lineup for the listeners, that may not have visited a campus or don't fully understand. This could be the first time, like we're saying, that they've ever heard of Haven for Hope.
Mhm.
And we'd like you to describe it. What's the model different? How's the model different from traditional
Sure.
shelters? Let's dive into that. I think it's a great way to kick things off, and I got a litany of other questions for you after that.
Absolutely. Haven for Hope is extremely unique. It is one of its kind, um, in terms of addressing homelessness in a community. What makes us unique is the one stop shop concept, the concept of not just shelter, but transformational services. We give our clients an opportunity to have access to resources to get back on their feet. So, yes, absolutely. Safe place, indoor place to sleep, 3 hot meals a day, thanks to two amazing partners, Faith Kitchen and the San Antonio Food Bank. You have access to housing services, counseling. The kids that you come to shelter with stay in their schools and continue going to the same school they were attending before you came to Haven. Everything is designed to help an individual remove any barriers they have to get back on their feet and go back out into the community and live their lives.
And get things rolling. Because I mean, I
Absolutely.
think a lot of people, good people, they either didn't get a fair shake or they were just down on their luck.
Absolutely.
And listen, the United States, America, we have our problems. We're not perfect, but we're still one of the best, if not the best country to where, hey, we're going to help you get a leg up to get dust yourself off,
Hmm.
mop the floor and then get back at it and take on life that can kind of spit us out, chew us up and spit us out
Right.
at times as well. The Haven for Hope brings together over 80 partners, it looks like, and
Yes.
organizations. I mean, that's just an undertaking in itself, all under one roof. It looks like. So, how does that coordination model actually work in
A lot of
practice?
coordination.
Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to our origins. When Mr. Greehey and Mayor Phil Harburger at the time were looking into addressing homelessness in San Antonio, there was a committee of leaders that went across the country. They visited 200 different cities to try to find out, how are you addressing homelessness? What works, what doesn't work? What they found is, if you combine shelter with resources, it was more successful for the client than if you're a standalone shelter and I have to take 5 via buses
Mhm.
to make my appointments for that day. It was also important for Mr. Greehey and our founders, and the concept of building a large homeless shelter in San Antonio, to have the resources be available for the community. So Central Med has a clinic,
Yeah.
and Center for Healthcare Services has a detox restoration center across the street from
Really?
us. And San Antonio Christian Dental has their only brick and mortar dental clinic, all located on or near our campus. So the resources are there for the clients, but they're there for the community as well. That was very important, to have community resources in addition to the resources for our clients. We have a YMCA on campus.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Childcare is huge. It's also available for the community. So all of that is what made Haven so special and so important, because we didn't want clients to have to go all over town to meet with a caseworker,
That
to meet
makes
with a
sense
benefit
because you've got these
specialist.
organizations, you're
Yes.
absolutely right, they're all over town, and just having that in one spot on one
Mhm.
campus,
Is
totally
it
makes
easier
sense.
for you to go to an appointment in the building next to where you were sleeping, or to take 6 bus
Yeah,
transfers
you're
for that
right.
same appointment?
On the transfer. No, that makes total sense. Now I have a better understanding of how you guys
Yeah.
can do 80 partner organizations
So we
under
have
one roof.
several partners, about 20 or so, that have dedicated office space on our campus. And then we have a number of partners that come certain days of the week. We have a great relationship with Game Changers Barbershop,
Really?
right? They are barber school.
Okay.
The owner said, I want my students to get real experience. So they come once a week, twice a week to Havens campus, cut hair for our clients free of charge, get to know them, interact with them, and help someone feel great for that job interview they have in a couple of days, or to go back to school.
I think some of those barbers get something out of it as well, if you think
100%
about,
they
I
do.
mean, and helping those
Yes.
that's really cool
So the
off of that.
partnerships run the gamut, from ID recovery to Street to Feet is located on our campus. They're all about fitness and your
Okay.
well-being. They have yoga classes, run 5Ks, just
Really?
interact with our clients and provide that service. We have sober living on campus. We have Thrive that caters to the LGBTQ plus 18 to 24-year-old age group. All of those partnerships and agencies and groups working together to help, on average, 1,350 clients a day.
We talked about this before the show that I've got clothing, some
Yes.
professional clothing that I'd like to donate, and you guys have you'll accept those, and
Yes.
whatever you don't need, you get to Dress for Success, which is another great local organization
Mhm.
here. So, any listeners out there, I mean, if you've got some clothes, I've got a stack of it at the house that's piled up and ready to go and donate. You can reach out to Haven for Hope and drop that off. Or I can now that's something that just popped in my head. I mean, can we just show up, or do we make an
Yes.
appointment? How does that work?
9 to 5, Monday through Saturday.
Okay,
Our donation warehouse is open. We have a team there that will come get the donation out of your car. You don't even have to get out of the car. We'll give you the tax receipt form and you're
cool,
on your way. Unfortunately, we don't have drop off locations across town.
got it. We
We
got to
get
make
that
it
question
downtown.
a lot. You do have to make it downtown, but we partner with a lot of organizations that will do specific drives and have drop-offs at their
But it's a good
businesses,
reason to
but
come
it
downtown San
it
Antonio. I
is,
mean, every time my wife and I
absolutely.
get downtown San Antonio, we're like, why don't we do this more often? And then another
Absolutely.
year or 2 goes by and we're saying the same thing.
Right.
So, okay, cool. Um, let's talk about actually, you know what? We'll have a show identification before we go over the next question. Everybody, this is the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. We're doing a nonprofit segment right now with Terri Behling with Haven for Hope. And we're talking about what they're doing here in the community. Fascinated by everything that they've got going on. We're going to kick back off some questions here in a minute, but just as always, I want to promote and do some advertising for our agencies. If you need anything, any help with Medicare, individual health insurance, you need, a more realistic and affordable option that could be for employee benefits as well, give us a call at Texas State Insurance Services 210-880-5316. The staff will take your call. More than likely, you're going to visit with me directly, and I've got my hand in pretty much every application. So we'd love to see what we can do to help you out. If I've got time at the end of the show, I'm going to talk about some of the scenarios where we've been able to help some individuals out with saving them thousands, not hundreds, thousands of dollars in their health insurance. One more thing I want to bring up is Palmetto Life Group. Palmetto Life Group, remember, is the agency that we created for, auto and home insurance, commercial and umbrella policies, life insurance, long-term care planning. I think I don't think, I know we're living longer lives. We're just not necessarily living healthier lives. And you need to have life insurance with living benefit protection or a long-term care protection plan or strategy in place as well. Give us a call at Palmetto Life Group, 877-357-5316 or palmettolifegroup.com. So thanks everybody for joining us here on the Mad Insurance Show. Oh, one more thing. If you're just catching a tidbit of the show, you can always go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/at Mad Insurance Show. And we can pick up where you left off, or if you wanted to get the whole interview again with Terri here with Haven for Hope. Okay, let's get back on track. Homelessness is also, actually, no, that's not where I want it. Walk us through, this is a good one. Walk us through the transformation of pathway or the pathway for Haven for Hope for someone that's arriving at the courtyard.
Mhm.
Not always, but it could be a crisis-driven situation. Would love to have an idea of what, moving into a stable housing environment looks like. The people, the what most people picture when they think of someone experiencing homelessness. We might think it's, me just driving around town thinking something's going on, and it's totally different. That's, let's spend some time on that question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that is one of the reasons why I'm in my job. I want to make sure the community looks at homelessness differently. Okay. Put all of your perceptions aside, look in the mirror, and know that it's you and it's me, right? It can happen to anyone at any time. Homelessness does not discriminate, it doesn't pick on one segment of our population more than the other. Like you had said earlier, it might be somebody just had a series of bad events that led to homelessness. So it's so important to recognize that homelessness is a complex issue. And for every individual that walks through Haven's doors, their pathway is going to be different. We don't say, oh, you fit in this bucket. This is your pathway.
Yeah.
We do person-centered planning. We're a trauma-informed certified agency. So we are going to get to the root cause of your homelessness. And that is how we're going to develop your housing plan. That's how we will develop your employment income plan. We operate two different sides of campus, a low barrier South Campus, which most people in the community recognize as the courtyard. That is going to be your low barrier campus. You can come into campus, still be active in your addictions.
Okay.
You can't use while you're at Haven, but if you leave campus and come back, you can come back under the influence and still get services. Okay? Because we recognize not everyone's ready
Yeah.
to get that help, but we're going to engage with you. Our case management's going to say, hey, Justin,
Going to be involved.
how about today? And you say, nope, not today. Well, we're going to check with you again. So we're providing that safe indoor sleeping, a safe place to access resources. So all of the resources available at Haven for Hope is available to every client, regardless of which quote unquote side of campus you're on.
Okay.
North Campus is going to be where there is some expectations. You have to have been a Bexar County resident for at least 12 months in the last 2 years. You agree to be sober while at Haven. We have families living on North Campus. Then we have single adult males, females. We have a young adult population, an elderly Young at Heart program for those who are elderly and experiencing homelessness. So north side of campus, if you come to Haven, looks a little bit more like a college campus. It has that feel. We have a main street. The buildings look like dormitories, and that's what the living quarters look like. South Campus is going to feel a little more open, people hanging out, watching TV, hanging out in the outside area, playing cards, doing whatever. But they all have access to all of the same resources, regardless of which side you're on. So you could get housed successfully from South Campus just as you can from North Campus.
Wow. Okay.
It's not like a linear step process.
It's crazy how we talk about, how vast this campus is and these
Yes.
divisions that you have off of that. The homelessness is often misunderstood. What are people actually living? Who are the people that are actually living
Right.
for Haven of Hope? We imagine the reality can be complicated. Most people, I think we would be shocked knowing the background situations that some of these individuals are going through. Can you give us kind of a demographic? I'm sure it could be broad, but I think that's important for the audience to know.
It's very broad. I can touch on our fiscal year 25 demographics for an example. So we served a total of 6,980
Okay.
from October 1st, 2024 to September 30th of 2025.
That's how
Okay.
many people.
Individuals.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
6,980. 4,006 of that total were on our low barrier South Campus.
Okay.
2,974 were on North Campus.
Got it.
Breaking it down into some further demographics, 354 identified as veterans. A
Okay.
lot of this is self-reporting.
Got
They
it.
tell us that they were in the military. We don't require that
Yeah.
to be answered. 428 clients were 65 plus years old. We served 711 young adults, 989 children, and 499 family households.
Is that listed on the site?
It is.
Okay.
It
good.
is.
That is a sobering statistic there, and that's just the people that have found Haven for Hope.
These are individuals that enrolled in Haven at some point during that year. So then you say, well, what's your success rate? Again, it really depends on the person. We have clients that will what we call self-resolve.
Okay.
Justin, maybe you came to Haven, you were enrolled in our program, you accessed some services, and then you leave and we don't know where you went. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It could be that you just
Could have landed on our feet. You don't know.
you needed a place to stay. You have a job. Over 40% of our clients are employed when they come to Haven. I think that's another big misperception, that anyone experiencing homelessness is unemployed. They're lazy. We hear that a lot.
People
They're
have
lazy.
jobs.
They just don't. They probably are working 2 and 3 jobs and can't make ends meet. So it could be that you self-resolved. We don't know where you went, but guess what? Because of our data collection and our collaboration with others in the city of San Antonio and Bexar County, we will know if you show up at one of the day centers,
Okay.
if you show up at another shelter, because all of that is tracked in the homeless management information system. So that's what was fascinating when we recently celebrated 15 years. We have a director of data research. He loves getting into the numbers. He found that we served 52,108 in a 15-year span. Okay.
Wow.
65% of them came to Haven once and never returned to homelessness in our system.
That's a pretty good rate.
It's a pretty good rate. So what does that mean on a yearly average? It depends, because we don't have a time limit for you. If Justin comes in today, we don't say, okay, Justin, you have to be out in 90 days.
That makes sense, Terri, because I mean, it can take people time to get out of debt and
Absolutely
build a business. I mean, sometimes we're looking for that, and we're in a society where it's immediate gratification is what we need because of these phones and the world we're living in. But I love the fact that we're bringing up. It's like, hey, over the long haul, when we really truly look at this, it's working.
It's working. Our model works, and do we have clients that we see more than once? Absolutely. And I think sometimes it's important for our staff to see these statistics too, because when you're working at Haven every day and you're seeing the same individuals or the same families, you can get discouraged and think, well, are we really helping people? Or if somebody comes back, you get kind of down and you're like, how did we fail? It could be that they just need a different path, or something didn't work for whatever reason. So we are going to work with our clients on everything as they're moving through the system to make it as easy and successful for them as possible, connecting them to benefits. You talked about Social Security earlier. We may have clients that are not going to be able to go out and get a market job, right? Get a market rate job. So if they're relying on their Social Security disability payments or living off of Social Security alone, how are they going to afford to live in San Antonio? That's where partnerships like Opportunity Home, the San Antonio Housing Trust, all of these organizations are working together within what we call the homeless response system to address those needs so we can put you in affordable housing. But we have a large percentage of clients that go into market rate housing.
Okay.
They get back on their feet. And if you come in to...
What's market rate housing? Standard
that would
housing?
be what we're paying, what you're going to pay when you see the sign that says now leasing.
Got it.
And you walk in a one bedroom's $1,200. So there's support. So there's housing vouchers. When people hear of the HUD, when they hear of these federal programs or state programs or housing vouchers, they might know the term Section 8. All that means is you're going to pay up to a maximum amount. It can't be more than 30% of your income towards housing. But because of that voucher program, the landlord is getting their full rate. If it's $1,200 a year, they're getting a subsidy, right?
Okay, got it.
So we work a lot with landlords to explain to them all of the programs and classes that our clients have gone through, show that they have a job. Yes, maybe they have an eviction in their past, but they can still be good tenants moving forward. So we have a landlord open house where they come to Haven, learn more about us, hear from a client.
It's a great idea.
Hear from other landlords who have worked with us. We do the same thing with businesses. One of the questions in your show prep talked about how do we get employers involved. JCB, is building a huge manufacturing.
Saw that online.
They've committed to hiring a certain percentage of Haven clients.
Wow.
At their facility because they saw the work we were doing.
And that complements what the landlords are trying to do. They're trying to run a business there. That complements what these large manufacturers are trying to do as well.
Yes.
That's really cool.
We have a lot of amazing employers in town that have, hired one Haven client. It's been so successful. They've hired multiple Haven clients.
And and to backtrack a little bit, you talk about that Social Security or disability.
Mm-hmm.
Some individuals still want to work and still can work while receiving their benefit, but it's a dance. I mean, you can only make so much. You've got to be careful with that to jeopardize that benefit. I don't think people are trying to work that system. I just, hey, they really need this to survive, but they also want to contribute, as well. So I'm so glad that y'all are doing that at the campus. Homelessness in San Antonio is growing.
Yes.
What's driving that increase, and does it feel like the city and the region are getting ahead of it or falling behind? I think that's an important question for our
Hmm.
audience as well.
In my personal opinion, I believe we're on pace with it or ahead of it in terms of we've been watching the trends,
Okay,
right?
nationally.
Yes, and the homeless response system in San Antonio, we really do collaborate and work together. So we're watching those trends. We participate in the annual point in time count
Mm-hmm.
where every community in the country does that. If you receive any kind of HUD funding, it's a requirement. So we're able to look year over year. It's a point in time for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So it's only a snapshot of one particular night. So it doesn't give you the complete picture, but it can at least show us how many are unsheltered, how many are sheltered. We have our data to show how many we're serving year over year. Sam Ministries, Salvation Army, other shelters in town have those same numbers that we can contribute to. So, yes, homelessness is on the rise, but our population has grown.
I was just about to say we had an influx of people coming here, buying
Absolutely.
houses. Some people lose their houses. Some
Yes.
people lose their job that they got
Yes.
here. I mean, that I can see how that would have affected that dynamic. Because I mean, it was just a few months ago, a few years ago, we saw all the headlines, Terry, about these homeless camps. There were
Yes.
set, and I saw some of them by my office building, and
Yes.
I'm sure that creates unsafe environments, and you guys are giving those individuals a more safe environment than that, I'm assuming.
And
So,
here's what's important to remember about the unsheltered, unhoused population. The complexities that they're facing are going to be a little bit more than maybe a, a client who comes to Haven because they lost a job or they lost their family support. And so
hmm
they come to Haven for services. When an individual is living out on the streets unsheltered, they are not forgotten because we have an outreach team and other agencies have outreach teams. But what's important to remember with that is it can take 7 to 10 meaningful interactions of me coming up to you, Justin, and saying, do you want a glass of water? Do you want a sandwich? How can I help
let me
you
think of
today?
that.
Do you want to be connected? Are you going to trust me the first time I walk up to you and say, hey, you want a sandwich and you want to come to shelter? Probably not.
Probably not. I don't
I
care if you're
need to
homeless or
build,
not.
exactly. I need to build that
It's
trust.
a
And
great
so
point.
a lot of our outreach, specifically for Haven, the outreach team, they have lived experience. That is so important. And we have a lot of staff at Haven. About 20% of our staff have lived experience. For them to be able to look eye to eye with our clients and say, I was there. I know what you're going through. I know what you need. Look at me now.
Yeah.
I can help you. And so we have countless stories of people who have been on the streets 5, 10, 15 plus years that finally one day said, I'm ready for help. We get them in, get them connected to services. They leave Haven, move into the community, and never experience homelessness again. What you're going to encounter more on the streets or in the camps that you're talking about, the encampments, there's likely going to be some undiagnosed, untreated behavioral health
Oh no,
and
no question.
substance use disorders. Because how are you coping?
Nobody's monitoring it. I mean,
And
nobody's
and how are you coping? If you can't pay your bills, you don't know where your next meal is coming from. You're self-medicating, right? For whatever reason. And so getting people connected to the right services and getting them the help when they're ready, they're going to be more successful than if we say you have to come with
Got it.
us.
No, I'm glad we dove into that because I mean
But it's hard because that's what the public sees.
yeah, it is, or that's the headline.
That's the
That's not
headline.
the article.
Mhm.
That we're diving into.
Mhm.
And it's like that on most political topics because homelessness can be a political football. Everybody wants to contribute, but it's one thing to say, oh, yeah, that needs to get fixed, and then go amongst our lives and actually getting involved. Like
Right.
what Mr. Greehey did. Hey, I
Absolutely.
mean, made that phone call to the mayor, said, hey, what do
Yes.
we got to do? Let's
Let's do it.
stick the landing on this. And
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
the good stuff,
Absolutely.
off of that. You brought up funding. I think it's
Mhm.
important for us to talk about this and for the
Sure.
audience to know. So, federal and state funding landscape for homeless services
Mhm.
has been volatile, from what I could tell. How dependent is Haven for Hope on government grants, and what happens to your operations when the funding shifts? Meals on Wheels had that,
Yes.
recently. With that made the news, and I mean, y'all are doing a lot of good, so I can see how nonprofits can panic, and we really need as a community. That's why I love San Antonio. A lot of times people step up.
Yes.
So let's talk about the funding, that landscape, and just is it volatile? How do you guys block and tackle when
It
things get tough, so
it
to
is
speak?
volatile, absolutely. It's how we all lose some sleep at night. So, our operating budget is 29 million,
Okay.
but 56% of that is coming from public funds
Oh wow.
and 44% from private. So, yes, we receive public funding, but what I like about how Haven is funded is we have that mix of public and private.
Hmm.
So, for example, if you're receiving funding from the state, the city, the county, or from federal, there's going to be specific requirements for that funding,
Yeah.
specific outcomes. Whereas private giving and receiving grants from foundations might be a little bit more flexible so we can evolve and evolve our programming to meet the needs of our clients. So it's very important for us to have that mix of private and public dollars. It really helps us provide the best services to our clients, and
And y'all are backing
we
that up
rely
with the
on it.
stats on that as
Yes.
well. I mean, it's one thing for just, I'm not saying nonprofits, but for any entity that gets government funding, we see it again, the headlines and a
Mhm.
lot of fraud going out there. Y'all are putting your money where your mouth is and
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, listen, we're utilizing a mix of both,
Absolutely.
and we're actually providing value. It's working clearly." So,
Yes.
basically 50+% there, and so we have an idea on where that funding from.
Mhm.
$29 million. It's a big
Mhm.
number. As far as when things get tough, I mean, have y'all noticed some shifts with this
Mhm.
volatility? Let's dive into that.
I think coming from San Antonio, when I moved here, it wasn't unlike Sarasota, Bradenton, where I came from in Florida. A large philanthropy presence,
Hmm.
right? A large presence of nonprofits, whether it be through arts and culture, a retiree community, right? So we have great public funding and people who support Haven, but it's shifting, right? Our population, the age demographics, they're all shifting.
Yeah,
So where we're having to adjust our strategy is look at everything from planned giving, talking to individuals to consider Haven for Hope in their trust and
their
will
estate.
development, their estate planning, right? But also reaching the younger generations who maybe will want to support a cause for a short period of time if we can get them to learn more about us and support us and spread the word, help us spread the word. We're having to constantly look at the donor base, and it's happening nationally. Like, people are not picking one cause and that's their lifelong cause anymore. They're picking different causes at different phases in their life or
That
based
makes
on an
sense.
experience they've had, and we have to adjust for that.
And I'm hoping it gets better. I mean, because but again, I'm an optimist. I think, San Antonio it's going to rally behind you, and y'all are doing what you need to do to justify the government funds
Mhm.
and the respect and the contributions that you're getting from these local private companies as well. Something that I wanted to ask you was, you're the director of government relations.
Mhm.
You're in the room where the policy gets made.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to want to ask you, hey, is there any policy changes, city, state, or local? I had Katie Padilla Stout sit across from us last Friday. She's
Mhm.
running for Congress in my district. I've got other congressional individuals that have committed to coming on the show
Mhm.
just to give them a platform so we can get to hear about them get let the audience know about some of these congressional candidates. But back to the question,
Mhm.
policy changes, what's the biggest positive impact? What could we be doing better politically? Long sigh.
It's the complexities.
Okay.
It's not a simple fix, okay? You're dealing with the complexities of a human being that may have been battling undiagnosed, untreated behavioral health for years. What is it gonna take to get them stabilized? And so it's seeing I think nationwide, we've seen an increase for behavioral health services.
Yeah.
I think that coming out of the pandemic, like there's all the
Oh,
studies and
it's probably a hockey stick
it
statistic,
absolutely,
off of that.
absolutely. So we have to be investing in all of the things to help address the complex issues. So it's more than affordable housing. That's a no-brainer. That's important. But it's so much more than that. It's the concept of supportive housing that maybe won't be permanent.
Mhm.
Maybe you only need it for a year where
Yeah.
someone is helping come alongside you and make sure you're making your appointments, your medications are being refilled, that you're taking them and you're making it to your doctor's appointments and where you need to be. Maybe you need that for 12 months, but you don't need it forever.
Yeah.
So it's the concept of people being reliant on this for their entire lives. That's not necessarily true. So I think as a nation and as a community, we need to look at that. What do people need now? What resources? Is it more preventative resources? Is it more assistance when you get behind on your CPS or SAWS bill or get behind on your rent? Is it the rental assistance? Is it financial literacy classes helping people understand budgeting better? Is it on the preventative side? Absolutely. So it runs the spectrum. And that's why I think it's such a difficult issue to address because of the complexities of
You've
it.
g and you're absolutely right. Now that you're helping me process that question, you've got a housing aspect, mental health aspect, financial aspect. I mean, all these these
Getting
moving
a
parts.
job, the skills side of it, right? If a client comes into Haven and sits down with our income skills development team and they're working 35 hours a week or 30, let's say 30 hours a week at a fast food chain. They're making a decent amount. You see the
Yeah.
billboards hiring,
Oh,
16,
all over the place.
$18 an hour. So you think, well, that's great. Is it enough to live on? Are you working at a job where you're working enough hours to barely make ends meet, but guess what? You don't have health benefits. What are you going to do when that one emergency happens where you get sick and you need a prescription to get over, the hump? If you don't have those benefits, how is that going to impact you in meeting your day-to-day bills? And that's where I think we have a lot of people that are sitting on that line where they're barely making ends meet. It only takes one car repair,
Yeah.
one illness. We spoke to a
To
client.
derail everything.
Absolutely. We had a client a few years back. He liked to say in his testimonial he came to Haven with a penny in his pocket, right? And the clothes on his back. He was a custom window builder for billion-dollar, million-dollar homes in the
Yeah.
hill country. He was very successful. You had the housing crash,
Mhm.
right? What,
Yeah.
2008, 2010? Lost his business, ended up having a health episode that put him into debt with hospital bills because think about it, he owned his own business. What health insurance did he have? He ended up on the streets.
We'll wrap up this part of the segment, and then we're gonna kick off with a few more questions and close out the show. We're almost done. It's been going by so quick. I, um I try to stay neutral on the politics. I think I do a reasonable job. Other people will go left or right. we've just got so much going on domestically,
Mhm.
and I think, listen, I get international and geopolitical stuff, but I just wish we would really focus more. And I know we're doing great things, and I just there's so much noise, and I think if we brought that humanity, that haven for hope aspect to that, I think we'd see some really good stuff. And I
Absolutely.
will tell you, I thought about this over the weekend because you everybody has this stigma of what a politician looks like.
Mhm.
But whether it's Katie or Brandon Herrera, I'm seeing people that are in average clothes like me, not slicked back, that I can relate to, and
Mhm.
I think that's a good sign.
Yes.
That the future could be bright. Listen, we have to have debates, we have to have arguments, but I'm hoping that we'll see legislatively some aspects and
Mhm.
tackle these complicated, diversified situations like
Absolutely.
what y'all are doing here at a local level. And it starts locally. We
Yes.
can't expect Washington to fix everything when we got to get our oxygen mask on first here on our own backyard in
Absolutely.
in San Antonio. Everybody, just to reminder, this is the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. We haven't been real talking about insurance right now because we've been focusing on the nonprofit. Absolutely fascinating visit that we're having with Terri Behling of Haven for Hope. We're going to wrap up with a few more questions, but I did want to remind y'all, the Mad Insurance Show is typically everything insurance. We try to talk about some of the articles, but we've really been focusing on the nonprofits here. I'm so glad we're doing this segment because we're providing awareness, and we're going to give you in a minute the phone number and website and where you can reach out to Haven for Hope if you like what Terry's been bringing up and talking about, for the community. Texas State Insurance Services is my agency that's sponsoring the show. We focus on health insurance, Medicare, ACA individual plans, 210-880-5316, or visit us online at txstateinsurance.com. And don't forget Palmetto Life Group for your life insurance, long-term care insurance, social security analysis, auto, home, and commercial lines. That's 877-357-5316. Either Erica or Lydia at the office will take the call, and we'll see what we can do to help. So we're on the last couple minutes of the show. Community impact and how to help. I think we close out the show and talk about, Haven for Hope, maybe not be as visible as we think. So that's why we're doing this outreach. What can we do as a community, especially for neighbors, businesses, anybody near the campus? Let's
Right.
dive into those aspects of it.
Absolutely. An important statistic I want the listeners, viewers to remember, because we had two independent report studies done by Dr. Steve Nevin. He's a local economist, very brilliant man, right?
Cool.
Looking at the impact of Haven, our results in terms of the money coming into Haven and what it takes to operate Haven. For every dollar invested at Haven, there's a $42 benefit to the community. I think we're a good investment. If you are going to give, you want to give to an organization that has a big impact. Now that $42
Maximize that give.
yes. Now that $42 is over the lifetime of somebody being in the community, but it's the kids who stay in school and end up staying in our community and getting jobs and contribute back to the community in that way. It's the whole picture, right? So I know we're doing great work at Haven and we have a lot more work to do, but we can do that with the help of the community. The community always amazes me whenever we have a need. If we need shoes, if we need men and women underwear, new bras for women, we need socks. Socks are the number one requested
I would
item
say that or
for
underwear,
those.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And so I partner with, a local news station and we do a sock drive every year. I am blown away at the community
And that stuff's not cheap,
answer. No,
the socks and
used to be.
I
It's
left
not
my luggage in
anymore.
in San Antonio last week and went to McAllen, and I was like, "Okay, now I gotta go shop for some new stuff," and I was like,
Yes.
"Man, it's a little pricey."
Everything is more expensive,
Yeah.
right? We all know we're paying more at the grocery store, we're paying more at the gas station, we're paying more in our utilities and our day-to-day bills. Just imagine what that is doing for someone who is on the brink of being unsheltered and not have a place to call home. So we provide that safety for them.
Yeah.
That place, I remember we interviewed a woman recently. She's 5 or 6 kids, and she goes, "This gave me a chance to breathe. Staying at Haven gave me a chance to relax and say, my kids are safe,
Reset.
we're safe. Let me focus on what I need to focus on to get out of here."
I love that. I think that's a good way to wrap up the show. That's a great stat. We y'all are truly, just like the name of the show, making a difference in this community. Everybody, this is the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. We're wrapping up our segment, nonprofit segment, with Terri Behling. She is the Director of Communications and Government Relations for Haven for Hope. The Haven for Hope website, please take a look at what they're doing online. You got a great website here, dynamic for everybody to get information. That's havenforhope.org.
Mhm.
You can also give them a call at 210-220-2100. If you're listening to this show and you need help yourself, give them a call, go to the
Absolutely.
website, or just show up at the location. It's One Haven for Hope Way, San Antonio, Texas, obviously, 78207. Terry, I cannot thank you enough for joining
Thank
me
you.
on the show. Hopefully, we got some value and some awareness out there. I think we did. As always, I want to make sure that you go to our YouTube channel just in case you missed this show. You can get the complete interview of us at youtube.com/at Mad Insurance Show. Thanks, San Antonio, for joining us. Terry, so glad. Hopefully, we'll
Thank
have you
you.
back again. We'll talk about some of the success stories. Have
Thank
a good
you.
week, San Antonio. Talk to you next week. Take care.